All right. Hello, everyone. This is my lunch and learn for the topic how I use AI for marketing. Um, I use it for a lot of things, more writing actually, now that I think about it. So this title isn't exactly accurate, but we'll move on. So yeah, I hope this is fun and helpful to someone. Okay, so next, yeah. So some important notes that like I have to keep in mind when I'm using any AI tools, any of them, including ChatGPT, which is supposed to be one of the more powerful ones, is that AI is still very imperfect and can only work as directed. So like the next slide is literally just about giving AI as much context as you can before you start asking it for anything. I treat each new, I guess I'll call it chat since I'm mostly referring to ChatGPT in this presentation, but each new chat has its own context, even if like I've done it in another chat before. And I found that that just helps get over all the hurdles of it's not being able to think like you, because it can think. So getting it as close as possible is like where context comes in. So yeah, my primary tool is ChatGPT, and then sometimes I use a tool called Type AI, since it has access to GPT-4, and it works much like other AI writing tools, Lex or Copy AI. It's fairly simple to use. If we have time after the presentation, I can like show my chaotic tools. But yeah, that's those are the notes. So the first thing that I do with like any AI tool is to give it context. So even when I'm prompting like Buffer's AI assistant, I start with like I am a or you are a, like trying to get it to be as close as possible to who I am or what I'm trying to do as I can. So like context gives it like giving context helps to provide you with the most accurate answers for whatever it is you're trying to do. So I just copied like a bunch of, for all of these, I copied a bunch of the prompts that I've been using lately. Sometimes I go like very simple, straightforward. You are this, your industry is this, your topic is this, your keyword is this, and your goal is this. That works. It's this was for the glossary, and I was trying to populate those as quickly as possible. So it wasn't perfect, but it did help us get started. Me and Sophie had to go in and change like a lot of the material, but it gave us like the initial structure, which can definitely take time when you're writing something. So like getting over that hurdle using this is worthwhile. Um, Oh yeah, I didn't put any screenshots, but I will show if I can find it, the results that this gave me. But yes, giving context is the first and most important thing for me when I'm working with any AI tools. So I mainly have been using AI to turn interview transcripts, just like the rough drafts from Otta, which is here, which I use to record calls, and it helps me make sense of them, because editing transcripts is like can be very time consuming. I think that's like the biggest challenge for me with interviewing. Transcripts can be very like the AI isn't perfect, Otta isn't perfect, so there's still a lot of work that has to be done when it finishes recording. So I take the transcripts from Otta and then feed them into ChatGPT. Doesn't take too long, just like literally just copying the transcript and pasting it in below this prompt, which is again context. So I use for editing transcripts, I use it to clarify, not necessarily to like actually edit. So more like proofreading, making sense of things that I'm like, oh, what was the context for this thing that this person said? Because in the moment I may remember, I'm like when I'm talking to someone, I know what is going on, but like a few weeks after, a few days after our call, I may not always remember what we're talking about, and like I need to get through transcripts very quickly since I've been doing a lot of interviews. So this helps a lot. So yeah, just there was an article that I read recently that mentioned that AI isn't good at not prompts. So like when you say you are not to do something, it doesn't always catch that. And I've noticed that as well. So that it was just like an essay on why AI can't think. So there, of course, is still work to be done, but transcript editing for like writing is very complicated for me. So this is the best. This is my preferred approach for dealing with them. So here is I don't know if this is clear. Let me see if I can expand this. Yeah, so this is better. This is a screenshot of a prompt where I asked like ChatGPT to edit my transcript. So here's a question and answer. Edit this for clarity, keeping the unique voice and tone. So this has like changed over time. Initially, I would just ask it to edit this transcript, but now I have to like add all these things, keep in the inflections of the interviewee, because sometimes people will use like contractions and AI won't add that, or they'll have like phrases that they use, or like terms, sorry, ignore that. They'll have like terms that they use, and the AI will rewrite it, but not like the person that said it. So like this, adding all this is always very important for me in this process. And then another thing that I noticed is that when I ask it to edit something, it edits it and it cuts it down. So I had to start asking it to include every single detail shared by the interviewee. So like, don't cut anything out. Like I said, it doesn't respond to not prompts. So like I'll say, don't cut anything out, but it will. So this was a better way to phrase it, and I think it's worked. And it usually gives like, unless I think something is missing, like I'll compare the two just to see if there's anything else that I should add from the initial transcripts, but usually there isn't too much of that. So yeah. Okay, so I also use AI to speed up my writing. Titles, captions, meta descriptions, SEO titles, they're all important parts of my process, but things that unless I thought about them beforehand, I have to start thinking about when I'm uploading the article. Meta descriptions and SEO titles are a big part of that. I always forget to do them prior to writing or like while I'm writing. So it's good at coming up with like lists that can inspire you. You can give it like as many constraints as you want. You can share like in this prompt example titles. So we've been doing like the Creators Unlocked series, and these are some of the titles that we've had. So I was trying to give it like as much context as possible. Yeah, context. I keep using that word, but yes. So examples to use as guidelines, things that irritates me in prior responses, I make sure to add them. Again, doesn't always like understand what I'm saying. So it does end up using colons and titles, but it's good for inspiration, for like that initial kick to get you thinking about how the best title to give a piece, or like the best way to communicate the piece in a social media post that's just like a quick thing. Maybe not the best for some of the more creative pieces, but it's really good at coming up with SEO titles. Like surprisingly, you could just give it the keyword and like say this is the keyword that needs to be mentioned in this title, and give it free rein with your constraints, and it can come up with as many titles as you want. I usually ask for 5, and then depending on what it gives me, I say don't do this, or make the titles witty or something like that, and it's usually will give pretty good responses. So it's also good for putting together takeaways, which I include at the end of long interviews to as a way to break down like the most important points shared by the interviewee. My most recent writing formats for interviews means that I don't really use this prompt as much. But if you have something that's kind of long, or if you have something that you're not sure people are going to want to read to the end, you can just give it the drafts that you have or the posts that you have and ask it to come up with like detailed takeaways. So like the most, or like instead of saying takeaways, you can ask it for the most important things that a reader, you can describe the reader as well, needs to know about X, Y, Z. So for this, this prompt was for Elisa Doucette's piece, and I just asked it for detailed takeaways. Sometimes I'll pull out points that were interesting to me from the article. So I'll ask it like, navigating burnout while dealing with the chronic illness, which was a question that came up in our interview. Sometimes I'll ask it, like with the piece that I published last Thursday with Josh Hope. Yes, he's an entrepreneur first and a creator second, which applies to a lot of our audience. So it's not here, but the prompt was really focused on 5 like takeaways that emphasize the interviewees. So in that case was the interviewee's experience with being an entrepreneur while also trying to create content. And it's helped to put together the TLDR of the article. So yeah, if there's ever an overarching theme or message that you really want people to get from whatever it is that you're writing, and you think that there are some people who may want to speed run and may not get exactly what you're trying to say, this is a good prompt to try. So outlining, this is the bane of my existence because it takes so long, but it is worthwhile. It's just that it can be a slog because there's so much emphasis on the technical parts. So for SEO pieces, you have like a primary keyword, you may have a secondary keyword, and then you have to find ways to make sure that the article is as optimized as possible before you go into drafting, which can be very creative, like you're just writing whatever comes to mind. So the outline helps direct your attention. So it can be very technical. AI is really good at like helping come up with detailed outlines. If you already have material, so like you have research, you have a report that you're trying to adapt into an article, whatever it is, you can feed like in the chat, you can put in the keyword, and then the outline templates that I use is what I just like copy paste into the chat as well. And then sometimes I'll give it like further context. So it will be more, instead of going directly into create an outline for the article using the structure below, it may be, do you understand? So like, this is what I'm trying to achieve. Asking it, do you understand? Is like getting clarification. Someone described AI as an intern, which, yeah, I think it does fall into that bracket a bit. And asking, do you understand? Do you need me to clarify can be useful for breaking up your prompt. So let's say there are multiple things that you're trying to do in one chat, then you can stop here, ask it, do you understand? It says yes. And then the next thing can be create an outline for the article using the structure below, or it can be, this is the research that the article will be based on. Then paste that. You can also add, do you understand? You usually won't like deviate from anything that you ask. So as long as you end with like, do you need further clarification? It says no, then you can then move on to like the aim of your chat, which is to create an outline in my case. So create an outline for the article using the structure below and the report I just shared, or the article I just shared, or whatever. And it's really good at filling out templates. So templatizing anything that you work on that has like a predetermined structure. If there are any things that are just like yes, you have to come up with new ways to fill it out every time, but you have like a structure, or just like I know how to describe it, but yeah, you have a structure that you just need to fill out, or a template that you need to fill out, then it's good at filling, it's good at doing that. So outlining SEO, ChatGPT is great, AI tools in general. And then for editing, which happens just before I will send the article in Slack, in the marketing content channel. I edit with Grammarly, of course, as much as I can. It's not perfect again, but I edit with Grammarly. Then I use AI like it's like a person that I'm bouncing ideas off of almost. So it's like all the questions that I would ask my editor when I was working at Animals, where I had an editor. I asked the tool. So I don't know where it gets like the information from. I'm guessing it's just like part of its language model, but it can help with like clarifying things for you. So if there's like a concept that you want to convey, but you think that it's too complicated for the person that you're writing this piece for, or you're writing whatever it is that you're writing for, you can ask it, how can I say this in a clearer way, and then paste what you're trying to say in a clearer way. Or you can put, I'm trying to say X, Y, Z, but it's not coming across. Recommend changes I can make to the whatever based on the following paragraph or the following research or transcripts. It's good at like spotting things that you wouldn't think to. Like editors are supposed to help you through, they're supposed to help you like with the bird's eye view, yes, of your content. They're supposed to have like a deep understanding of who you're writing for, so that they can kind of like bring that person's perspective to an article. So yeah, the AI is great for clarifying things for me. And then it's also great for revising content. If there's something that I think, this doesn't sound quite right, or I'm not saying this in the best way, then you can ask it to do that for you. I also tend to ask it for subheadings a lot. So there will be like, I'll already have the H2 for an article, and I'll have the paragraph or several paragraphs that go under it. And then I'll have the material for the subheadings. But if it's an SEO piece, for example, and I think that I'm not communicating like the most important points of this article the best way I can, or the most important point of this H2, I'll ask it for like in this case, what an appropriate one word subheading for the following paragraph. Just copy paste that paragraph, or just copy paste the whole thing and ask it to come up with appropriate subheadings broken down into bullet points or whatever. Yeah, so that's how I use it for editing. And then for social media, AI is really good at repurposing content. So if you already have copy for one platform, or you have like an article, like I think I've shared an example of this with you, Mitra. You have like an article, and then you want to come up with like a Twitter thread or LinkedIn post or Instagram caption or copy for a carousel. It's is good at coming up with that stuff based on, as long as you have like existing material for it to work with. It's really good at like following the convention. So again, it usually needs a lot of direction. If you don't add these things, it will always do too long. So like Twitter, saying Twitter doesn't mean anything to an AI tool. Like it doesn't immediately go, okay, this is Twitter. You are only allowed to have 240 characters per tweet. It will give you like 240 words instead. So yeah, giving it parameters to work with are always works great for me. So yeah, that is, I think, I think I've covered everything I use AI for. And then some quick, just like random things that weren't enough to make a whole slide out of. Putting information into a table is really good at that, but I'm too lazy to do it by myself. Asking it to write using blogging conventions. So like if you say this needs to be, or write out a bunch of H2s that do whatever, it will do it for you. And then ask it to check if you're missing anything or are not saying anything clearly, which is just a repeat of what I had in this slide. But yes, that is everything. Thank you for listening to my long presentation.